Welcome to Fouts Boxing Theory, professional striking coach for boxing and MMA. In this video, we're going to be breaking down what Munguia's chances are to beat Canelo Alvarez this weekend. So first, we're going to be taking a look at a few of the skills and the things that Munguia likes to do, and then we're going to be taking a look at what Canelo likes to do, yada yada. So, stepping jab here from Munguia, stepping jab here from Munguia. Gets into a good rhythm. His opponent has a good rhythm here, and I do think that Derevianchenko is actually a pretty good film study person for challenging Munguia. However, uh, Derevianchenko is not that hard of a puncher, right? Now, pay attention. He jumps on the line with the 1 here, 1 pendulums, and then here's this beat here that would normally be a 2 here, and Munguia kind of sees it, right? And this is kind of weird. We're going to talk about why that's weird because it's not something that he does every single time. Come on, film study, where you at? Now, stepping jab, stepping jab. A few things that he does off of his stepping jab. So he's got a double jab right there and then back off the line. Now, notice his hands are not really up. He's not really guarding the line very tightly, right? So stepping jabs may be effective against him. Lunging kind of attacks. And Canelo's kind of a lunger a little bit. Now, stepping jab off the line, tries to parry. Again, fighting off that rhythm, getting back to the line. And then now moving into off of all those stepping jabs, jabs to the body, this and that, double jab, moving into a hook. Now it's not successful, but Canelo is much tighter in his guard. He's much more, he's looking to parry those punches and interact with you. And it's interesting because he doesn't even always look to counter. Even though he does have some decent counters, he won't always use them, okay? Now, in the scramble, kind of chasing, a lot of pendulum, a lot of motion, a lot of punches from Munguia, and it looks like if you watch this fight that, and just real quick, shout out to the bow and arrow left hook, okay, bow and arrow left hook to the body, just check that out, guys, but rips his hand back, he's not guarding the line. Notice he's also throwing in combinations, incredibly fast and all this stuff, but Munguia is exposed here, and he kind of is open for the left hook. Now, it's very important that you pay attention to the fact that this is while Munguia is punching, okay? And if you punch with him, maybe you hurt him, maybe you don't. If you don't, he's still ready to punch with you. Now, eating another shot, weaving through the line here, catching him again. Munguia is getting hit by almost every single thing that Derevianchenko actually does throw. Okay? Getting on the line, getting hit here, getting hit here, getting hit here. And in this one sequence, right, Munguia kind of came forward, got hit, maybe was kind of like, throwing some pans, fast. Jumps off the line, gets hit again, jumps off the line, gets hit again, jumps onto the line, and gets hit again with a 3-piece. Okay? It's just really interesting because Canelo is not, he's kind of a counterpuncher. Not really. He's more, we're going to talk about what Canelo is when we get to his film and how he fights. But again, he just got smacked up a bunch, and he's jumping back on the line, throwing more punches, getting hit again. Okay, but it'll be interesting to see if when we get to the Canelo film study and you see he doesn't really punch with these bigger guys, okay? And Derevianchenko is actually bigger than Canelo, okay? Look at him. He looks like a little kid in this frame, right? Now, we're going to take a lot of looks at that stuff. We got a lot of film to go over. Now, sometimes Munguia sees things coming really well and he reacts to them really well. Here he just eats this 1 and eats this 2 here. Now it's just very strange because sometimes Munguia is so aware and so this and so, when he looks like the greatest thing since sliced bread. And then sometimes it looks like he's literally sleeping in the ring. Literally just asleep while he was coming forward and just gets smacked. Okay. Now, gets smacked again. Okay? Now, Canelo is not really that guy that's kind of chasing you all that much. We're going to see a couple of his little chases when we get to his stuff. But Canelo is very precise. He throws his power punches very sharp. And there's a little bit of rolling with this. A little bit of it is kind of smacking his head back. Now, moving on. Couple of feints from Munguia, and now gets on the line and throws a hook. Okay, so feinting the stepping jab, what? What, bro? And then feinting it, boom, brings the rear hand forward and moves into the hook. Now, it doesn't land, but Canelo doesn't like to sacrifice his position on the line as much as other fighters. He likes to catch and block, and he'll roll, right? But I do think that, because Canelo also likes to keep his hands so close to his own head, that Munguia may be able to sneak up on Canelo a few times with this shot, and maybe score some points. Again, it's just a common type of offense for Munguia. Now, he's coming forward, gets to the front foot. Derevyanchenko's gonna throw a stepping jab. He's getting under it, and Munguia's countering him here, picking him off. Okay. And then immediately jumping back on the line with a little hook right there. Very, very interesting stuff. But most importantly, getting under the stepping jab and countering Derevyanchenko. This is so, so, so important because Canelo is not a boxer. He's not a boxer. He's more like, he's going to kind of walk forward and then explode. Not even really a brawler because, he's sharp and he's fast and all this stuff. But he's not really fighting off of his jab all that much. It's usually just explode on the control with the jab, right? And then explode into it too. It's not like he's constantly probing and landing it and scoring and circling and, he's trying to get you on the rope so he can smash you with one hard shot. Now, a little bit of boxing from Munguia. Bouncing. A lot of energy here, right? Counter over the top because of the very, very, very predictable timing. Okay, now Canelo Alvarez, not really that kind of guy. He's not really the kind of guy that's throwing right hands over the top of people's jabs there, right? That doesn't mean that he's not going to be able to time him and catch the jab or counter with the hook or do something, but it is a very, very common timing and rhythm for Munguia. Now, Munguia's putting all this pressure on him. Look at how quickly he cut the ring off. He got all the way to the other side of the ring, snuck up on him all the way. The guy sees him coming a mile away, and he winds up landing a body shot. He didn't even go with the jab. He didn't even go with the rear hand. He went straight with the body shot, which is very, very, very interesting. Okay, now, Canelo's not going to make him chase him that far. Okay, and that's a really interesting idea because it means that Munguia will be able to spend more time, I think, punching than moving and circling and doing other stuff, so I don't think there are going to be very many lack of opportunities for him to score. Now, through that combination, jumped off the line, came back through another combination, boom, boom, boom. Now, let's kind of read this combination real quick. He goes off the line, he jumps back onto the line with a 1, 2, 3 to the body, 3 to the head. Okay, kinda, This is his most common pattern. Okay, now, nothing wrong with that, it's kind of cool. But when he's throwing this body shot, his head doesn't really move or change positions, and for a guy that doesn't have all that much head movement anyway, for his head to finally sit in a position like this where he's bow and arrow left hooking, he's going to be open again for the left hook. And again, this is a really, really, really big problem for him if Canelo will punch with him. Okay, now, if this is the only punch that he throws, maybe Canelo will counter it. We did see just a few moments ago he threw a naked one. Just walked up on Derevyanchenko's line. Derevyanchenko's expecting a jab. He slips to the front foot. Munguia went to the body. But this time's in sequence, in combination. And Canelo doesn't, maybe, and again, when we get to the, again, following up the sequence, more sequence. Getting back on the line, more sequence. Now, getting countered. But Canelo doesn't really uh, counterpunch. No, we're gonna see some of his counterpunching. He's got some traps. He does for sure. Um, but once somebody's hands, especially these bigger guys like Bivol, right, was able to just throw punches. Now, real quick, I just want to bring attention to 1, 2, 1, 2, 3 to the body, 3 to the head. Okay. Again, that very, very common pattern almost gets a little iced there by the left hook, and then again jumping back on the line there and getting smacked by another left hook. Like, it's just, it feels inevitable. Like if you watch this, it just has to happen. Oh, Canelo, KO, Munguia, left hook, you know. But when we get to the film, you'll see. Now, right hand to the body, and Munguia tries to counter with the left hook to the head. Now, the timing doesn't wind up very well here for him. Jab, jumps on the line, boom, boom, boom. He misses. He winds up rolling the shot. Good job to Revianchenko. Good control here, so he can't hold. But Canelo doesn't always move his head after he throws his hardest punch. He'll kind of sit there. He'll kind of admire his work. He'll kind of do a lot of things. Now, we saw him earlier duck and be prepared for the right hand. Here, Revianchenko just walks onto his line again while he's coming forward, right? And it's like he's asleep. Now, I think that he gets hit here by the first right hand, but also still coming back with another counter. Now, still getting hit with the left hook. Again, I think that that's more like a left shovel hook to the head, left uppercut, I guess. But again, the left hand, he's just so open for it, no matter what angle, no matter what. Like in the first clip of the video, he gets hit with like 3 jabs in a row, right? And then a left hook and, whatever it was. But I do want to draw a little bit of attention to the fact that he is trying to pull counter here, even though he is kind of getting smoked a little bit. Losing that sequence quite bad. Now getting on the line, stepping jab. Again, is he just asleep? Now he's coming forward again. Hands are down. They're not really up all that much. And again, is he asleep, guys? Didn't even move. Didn't even move. And again, these are like pretty good shots from this little baby Derevianchenko, right? Now, Derevianchenko's bigger than Canelo. He is. He's not as hard of a puncher. Hands are not as fast. But Derevianchenko does something that Canelo cannot do. And that's have that slick head movement, chain punches together, chain sequences together, and have really long sequences and stamina. And stamina is probably the biggest one. Canelo's sequences are often very shallow. Now, is he asleep? 1, 2. Is he asleep? Whack. We don't know if he's asleep or not. Sometimes he's just eating big right hands. Sometimes he's setting a trap. Sometimes he's asleep. This is the rope-a-dope. Okay? That's what I'm going to call this video, the rope-a-dope. He's got a rope-a-dope's chance to win this fight. Maybe he looks like he's sleeping and he catches Canelo after Canelo wallops him. No, just kidding. We got plenty more film to go over. Throws a random 1, 2, counter again. Now, is he blocking this shot? Not really. Is Derevianchenko a hard puncher? Not really. Good counter, though. Okay? The question will be, I think, a little bit also, Canelo, when he knows he's not going to land a good shot because he's short, he'll just throw that shot at your arm. And it is, I think, considerably more difficult to land a left hook counter when your opponent just punched you in your left arm. Okay, so there's definitely that idea. But now again, jab coming forward. Again, Canelo is not that great of a boxer. He's got a stepping jab, but he doesn't ever step off the line. He doesn't follow it up all that much. I mean, he follows it up with the 2, but it's not like he's throwing that shot as a shot, right? And then throwing a shot. It's more like a feint. But here's his stepping jab, and this is how Canelo looks to get out of the corner, right? Obviously, you just throw low value, low commitment, right? Throw it from a safe position. Maybe you get the guy to get to the ropes, but Munguia getting under it. He didn't pull counter. He didn't do a little trap right there. But he didn't pull counter there. But he could have pull countered there. And the fact that he could, it's something that's in his repertoire, is very, very, very important because, again, Canelo's going to throw that jab. And when we get take a look at his stuff, you'll see. But again, getting on the line 1, 2, is he getting away from that shot? Is it not just punching him in the face? Now, he does come back with a good counter. Got some while he's on the way down. And then gets clipped again by another left hook. I just wanted to point that out right there. But he is kind of active with those counters, and I do think that as long as he's aware and he can throw them, he can be very successful. Sometimes he winds up in these positions where he does literally nothing and just gets punched in the face. Again, very, very bad defense sometimes. And one of the biggest reasons for that is he's not actually that good at blocking punches, in spite of the fact that that catch and counter sometimes kind of okay, kind of. Now he's going to jump on the line with the 1, the 2, 3 to the body, 3 to the head, jump immediately back onto his opponent's line. Boom. Slips this shot here, 2, gets hit with the right hand. Yikes. Gets hit going to the body with the left hook upstairs. Now, again, he looks dangerously open for the left hook, but that's only if Canelo is going to throw it. Now, a good follow-up here. Only if he's going to throw it with him. Slip this shot, comes up with this uppercut. Now, this is absolutely a move that Canelo will do. He'll throw the jab out like this, fake the jab, and then he'll come in with the hook here. And Derevianchenko is catching Munguia with this shot really, really well. But I do want to point out again, fighting off of his opponent's jab. Okay, so even though it's not going his way, Canelo doesn't always have the best jab, so maybe he'll go 50-50 here. I think on average, if he's consistent with attempts, he'll counter more jabs than he'll get caught in traps, and it'll be actively good for him. Because if Canelo's afraid to throw his jab, he doesn't really have any other ways to set up very much of his offense. He's always fighting from the left side or the right side of the line with the left hand. Now, so is Munguia, right? But again, pull, counter, counter. So is Munguia, same thing, but he has a significant height and reach advantage. Jumps on his line, smacks him, moves off the line, pushes him around, smacks him again. Again, Munguia does not really keep his hands up. He uses so much of his body for momentum. That's why he has, on average, so much decent punching power. It's decent. It's not like great, but it's like pretty good. He's pretty fast with it. More importantly, he can chain them together pretty well, even though he does usually have to take a break on the way so that he can throw that body shot. And I think the body shot is more of a technical response, or is more of like a response to a technical failure. I think that he's probably just not good enough to go straight 2-3. And then he has to kind of take a break and throw the body shot. But because of that, he doesn't have his hands up. Again, like I was saying, the bow and arrow hook, right? He has to use his hands for momentum. Even on his defense, when he's trying to pull and swing away and trying to duck and trying to do stuff, right? He's still going to be doing that kind of stuff. Getting hit again. Now, not often is he going to wind up in positions like this where he's holding, but he's not a very good holder either. And that's really interesting because it kind of tells you that if Canelo hurts him, because he doesn't really hold, if he stays in positions like this, he's going to wind up getting his ass kicked. barely started to attempt to hold now after all that kind of, beating that he was taking a second ago. And he's not even going to be able to maintain holding it. He's not even going to be able to maintain it and immediately starts getting hit and out wrestled by the much smaller Derevianchenko, who's probably not even really trying that hard. Okay. Again, Munguia, is he hurt? What is it exactly that's causing him uh, to not be able to maintain a clinch with Derevianchenko? He probably doesn't practice clinching at all in sparring. Now jumps on his line, throws a one, cracks him with a counter, cracks him with a counter hook himself. Now, it's really interesting too because notice Derevianchenko jumps on his line, and we're going to see some clips of this, but Munguia punches with him. He's like, okay, it's on, right? It's on like Donkey Kong, throws this shot with him. He's going. Canelo doesn't really punch with you. Okay, so Munguia may, if he's consistent, be able to stifle enough of, is he asleep? Is he? So this is one of those things where it's like, oh man, here he is. Is he pull countering the jab here? He's like, oh, the jab came and now he's going to try to throw the uppercut, and then he's getting hit with the two. Now, pull counters are very dangerous if your opponent's throwing combinations because um, you're about to move your head out of the zone, or you're going to be fighting either even on the catch and counter style, right? You're going to catch in that space, and then you're going to hope your opponent is going to be there while you punch, right? And usually the guy's like leaving the space if you're going to try to catch and counter, or like you're just going to try to be faster than their combination, but like they know when they're throwing it, like you got to rely on feeling, tap tap, you got to grab it. But anyway, um I don't know if Canelo is going to be able to exactly take advantage of the fact that the this type of jab counter exists for Munguia, and if he's going to be throwing shots, or if once he realizes that Munguia tries to counter his jab, that he'll be so hesitant. Because when he fights Bivol, and again we're going to take looks at those clips later on in the fight, he starts feinting much more often to make sure that Bivol is not in a position to challenge him, because he doesn't want to jab and pendulum and get caught and countered and then have his rhythm broken. So he checks the line much more feints, 3, 4, 5 feints sometimes, and then he'll jump on the line real quick once he's like, oh man, okay, now for sure. Um, but again, just getting kind of smacked. Oh, I guess here we are. Canelo versus Bivol. Now, slip into the front foot here. Jab, right hand. Okay, so he's going to check the line. Oh, what's going on over here? Nothing? Okay, pendulum. Jab, pendulum. Throws a 2. Now, suspiciously, it looks like he's punching him in the arm, right? Is Munguia going to be able to counter from this position? I don't know. And then Canelo's like, okay, what do I do now? I missed. Well, let's fucking try again. Okay, didn't get him. All right, well, I'm going to come forward. Notice, a punch came at him, disrupted his rhythm, pushed him off the line. Jab, pendulum, 2 again to the arm. That's 3 of those super explosive 1-2s. None of them landed, right? All in 9 seconds. Okay, and this is a lot of energy. You got to get to the line real quick. Pop, pop. You got to throw the punch fast. You got to pendulum fast. And you got to throw the 2 fast. And then you got to not get punched in the face fast after. And because of that kind of stuff, I think Canelo often will find himself tiring. And, because he has so many of those explosions, but also so many of those explosions come from the left hand into the right hand. So he's using both sides. Now, this is a little bit of that rhythm here as he makes it to the front foot here. Here's that jab rhythm. And then Bivol picks him off, and now he's going to make it to the front foot, give him a little bit of pendulum. And now when he gets there, he makes him think it's going to be a body shot, or is it a jab? Is it a this? And he goes up top with the hook here. Now, he still kind of misses. Okay. Um, Real quick, I just want to show. Look at this bow and arrow here. Just bow and arrow. Boing. Okay. Um, Terrible, terrible hook. Don't do this, you guys. This is the whole reason why he lost. uh, but getting to the line off that rhythm, sometimes he can throw a jab. He doesn't usually throw a jab off that rhythm. It's usually a little bit different. But throwing a hook, now he's going to get to that front foot jab, throwing the one, flying into the two. Now, when we watched Munguia, his ability to go from sequence to sequence and fluidly go from getting punched in the face, right? And we saw him get cracked by Derevianchenko and then just immediately jump right back on the line and throw a punch. Here's Canelo completely whiffing and then falling off balance. Now, Canelo resets pretty quick, jumps back onto the line, throws that like Ryan Garcia, comes forward, and then it moves into the leaping hook thing. But so many of these attacks are kind of leaping or kind of lunging or kind of, and that was one of the things that Bivol was able to make Canelo pay for, was kind of lunging and kind of doing some of that stuff sometimes. Now, real quick, throwing a one, throwing a two. Very common source of offense for Canelo. One, two. Well, same thing, right? Over and over and over. This guy. Okay, got him. Control. Now, how difficult is it to disrupt what it is that Canelo is trying to do? Jab, comes around the guard with the body, with the hook here. Um, Again, very, very common piece of offense for Canelo. And I do want to point out again, I do think that Munguia's kryptonite is the left hook. So even though he threw this one to the body, I think it'll be easy to hit him to the head if he can get into a rhythm and get into a place where he has control of the line long enough to do that. But this, as he's circling here, breaks into a position 1, 2, or a combination 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, pendulum, 1, 2, 3, 2, 3. One of those was not a 2, he just went 1, 3. But Canelo doesn't really punch with his opponents. They're all bigger than him. And I think that Jaime Munguia is bigger than Dimitri Bivol. I think he's a better puncher. I also think that the timing that Bivol controls Canelo getting to the front foot is a very, 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 very common timing to understand at this level. And in order for Munguia to be able to box and get to the level that he has to be able to understand what that line is against Canelo as well. It'll be the same. So a lot of the stuff that Bivol does here is going to be very, very, very replicatable. However, the timing in that regard, I do think that, straight punch wise, Bivol is faster. Bivol doesn't have to take a break to throw his 3 to the body. He can throw all his punches to the head and then get off the line. He's not really falling off balance, and I do think that Munguia does fall off balance sometimes when he's throwing in combination. He gets back to his balance really quickly, but sometimes it will take him a little bit of extra time. Now again, Canelo doesn't really punch with you. He doesn't really take those risks. And throwing random punches, just controlling the line. I think that there's a recipe that Munguia can get enough control of the space, control of this, control of that he can throw random combinations and score. Now, Canelo doesn't always keep his hands up. Canelo doesn't always follow all the rules. Canelo's not always, sometimes Canelo's coming forward and he's trying to take a break himself, But because of the fact that he's coming forward and he's not really looking to counter, he's not really, it can be kind of easy sometimes to score against him. And again, pushes him off the line and then immediately ready to fight again. Canelo kind of styling a little bit with his head right there, like, but we all know what we saw. Coming forward, controlling with the rear hand, and then he's pendulum walking, bringing his back foot. Now, it's really important that we take a look at that rear hand probe right there, because how often does Canelo throw that as a straight punch, as a way to get to that position? Not very often. I would, you know, I would venture to say zero. Zero times does he just throw that shot, a rear hand. Okay? There's a few reasons for it, right? Number one, he's short. He's short, just what it is. It's no big deal. But well, the biggest problem that creates is, and the reason that this is so noticeable too, is this is the reason why he's always penduluming, because he has to also get so close to you, right? Because he's so short, right? So he's stuck on the outside. So he has to control space with that big jumping jab and then land and throw his two. But he doesn't often get close enough to control space and throw those as earnest punches. Now, controlling space, leaping off of that. Look at all the space that Bivol's creating. He's just walking away, you know? And again, if Canelo doesn't jump on his line and throw that shot and get him planted and scared of the one so he can throw the two, right? Look at how easy it is to disrupt him. Probably don't shove him. Punches him in the face after. And again, Canelo doesn't really punch with the guys. Now, Canelo's going to be countering single punches and stuff, and he'll find some spaces, but this is all one clip, okay? And Canelo didn't get any punches off. So there is a space, there is a formula, okay, where Munguia can control enough space and steal enough punches to steal the rounds with combinations and, all this stuff. As long as he doesn't get too tired and all this stuff. Real quick, gets to the line, tap, body shot, good shot. Controls after, but boom, boom, boom. You can still hit him here, right? All right, jab. Now, it's one of the few traps that he has, right, where he uses this kind of correctly. But he's going to jab, allow it to be parried, get under this with the pendulum step, under Bivol's jab, counter to the body. However, Bivol's already gone, and sometimes in the sequences that I showed where Munguia is going to see that shot coming, he's going to see the weight coming. Number one, how does this clip start? Well, Canelo's going to stepping jab at his opponent, telegraph his jab, he's going to show it to him, and then he's going to pendulum, and then, okay. So it's not like it's super hidden, right? So sometimes Munguia is going to see it coming, and all this energy, again, because we saw the few probes that Canelo does throw in this whole fight, they don't even allow him to get any punches, and he has to jump on the line with that big jab and that painting, right? Did he actually punch with them? Trying to get space, trying to get control, right? But again, later in the fight, Canelo will feint more often than he'll punch, trying to get you to not counter him, trying to get a free way onto the line until he's like pretty confident, okay, I can make it. Now, this is really important because look at the position that he winds up in after. Is this safe? Is he free from punches right there? Is that a good position to be in? His right hand across his chest. Jaime Munguia might counter him. Now he's going to move, coming forward, body shot. Did he set it up? Did he this? Would Munguia maybe throw a left hook here? Maybe. I don't know if that was the heads or whatever. Who cares? Canelo coming forward, jumps, breaks into rhythm into a 1-2. Any value there? Nah. Control. Coming forward. Control. Pendulum 1-2. But it's really interesting to see all that's going on between Bivol here, and then how, as soon as Bivol turns it on, he's able to kind of shove Canelo around. Canelo's not blocking punches. He's not pulling. He's not countering, right? It's just big, mad flurries. Now, will some of those flurries look a little bit different going to the body? Maybe. Maybe not. Maybe Canelo's already too far away. Boom. Now, pendulum's on his line, gets cracked, doesn't follow up. But this is the move that he always punches on after, right? And as soon as it gets disrupted, Canelo stops fighting, right? Again, he's not really trading with his opponents very often. Like, granted, you don't want to trade, but he doesn't punch with them either, right? Now, as he's coming forward, he predicts jab, pull counter. Okay, so it's not like he doesn't counterpunch or have the ability or this or that. It's hard for him because he's short and these guys are a lot taller than him. So those kind of moves are going to be way more difficult on average. Little random combination again pushes him off the line. How difficult is that? Pushes him back again. Free punches, free punches, free punches. Is this good defense? Is this, and a lot of that is just Canelo's tired. Again, it's not that difficult to disrupt Canelo. It's not that difficult to score against him. I do think Canelo, on average, has better defense than most fighters. But hand speed, having the courage to throw more than just one punch, understanding that the first punch that you throw, he's probably going to see it coming and be able to interact with it really easily. And then having the courage to kind of throw a couple of shots at him, very, very, very important. But there's a world where he's able to move around and do all that stuff and prevent himself from getting hit and hurt. Now, real quick, is he in a good position here? Does he defend himself? Does he block? Does he catch? Does he do anything? Does he anticipate a punch coming after he throws that shot? Not really. Throwing a few more probes this time because he doesn't want to get interacted with. Throws a random 2. Control. Is he in a good position after? 1, 1. Control. 2. Sits there. Gets counter with the left hook. Now, Bivol is not a rounded punch fighter. He's a straight punch fighter. So as soon as Canelo gets this close to him, he has no tools. He's trying to throw straight punches at this guy on the outside, flood his line, but he doesn't really have rounded punches, and Munguia does. So it's going to be really interesting to see if Canelo can, number one, actually stay close to Munguia, because Munguia can actually let those little hammers go, and he actually does have some like decent punching power, some decent hand speed as well. Decent ability to counter the right hand, sees it coming sometimes. Sometimes he's asleep, whatever. But Canelo's going to have to use a lot more energy in all of the punches that he doesn't knock Jaime Munguia out with. He's going to have to be able to block or pull or do something because Munguia, his first instinct is throw punches, and he's much more likely. What's this? Okay. He's much more likely to actually land a counter, or even throw one. Now, what do I think is going to happen? Well, I think Munguia has a very high energy style, all the bouncing and this and that, and I think that if he doesn't hurt Canelo, and man, I don't know if he's going to hurt Canelo. That last clip with Bivol, where he gets set on the ropes and eats like 30 punches in a row, how did that not hurt Canelo? So if he doesn't hurt Canelo, which he's probably not going to hurt Canelo, I don't know. Eventually he's going to get tired, and when he sits on the ropes or he does nothing or he's throwing jabs or he's doing something, I'm anticipating something like this. Um, Again, I think that he's weak to the left hook, and I think that Canelo, there's an inevitability where Canelo figures it out, and he realizes that the stepping jab that he works, it's not going to work against him. Most of the stuff that he's going to try, not very good. Um, but I think that if I don't know if Munguia can hurt Canelo, because he's gonna throw combinations and he's gonna flood his line. He's gonna be able to do it like Bivol, but with more rounded punches, more left hooks. So we'll see if Canelo will counter. We'll see how many times Canelo has to get punched in the face before he lets a rocket left hand go. We'll see. I think that's what we're going to be waiting for, because I do think that Munguia is going to fuck him up a little bit, but I do expect that fucking up of him is not going to be enough to stop him from just throwing a left hook and cracking him. Even if he misses, he might make Munguia more hesitant, which will significantly decrease the chances of him getting a knockout. So, anyway, this is what I think is going to happen, though. I do think there's an inevitability where Canelo's just going to be like, leaping left hook to the head, or like throw a left hook to the head and he thinks it's going to be a jab, and then Munguia gets hit, or he throws a 3-2 and Munguia tries to pull counter and it gets cracked. That could happen too. I think that's less likely. I think it's more likely. Anyway, yeah. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And yeah, if you guys want to check out more film studies like this, check out my Patreon, or just check out the rest of the videos on my channel. I do all the biggest fights.